was 10 years ago. I think we really, used to that we had some pretty lax ethics laws in the state. You could do whatever you really wanted to do. As we've talked about, I think Billy Tozan used to say, in Louisiana, half of our state is flooded, and the other half is under indictment. And I think the good part about it is that hopefully that has changed what we were doing. So locally, just sort of throw you where we're at on some projects. You've probably seen 165 being 4-lane on the northbound. Just that project alone is going to be a little bit over $10 million. We will finally, after a long time of being sort of roadblocked, we'll do the Kansas City connector. We should start on that next year, but the funding is there by the state, joining with the federal funds that we've had for 20 years, and we're going to go ahead and start moving in that direction. I think what you'll see first is probably at the Forsyth area, and then going back behind the university, and then tying on into Kansas Lane over there by the airport. So that'll be a pretty good northern loop, as we sort of want to call it. And so my responsibility, I believe, is a lot of people want to know what the state's doing with local problems, but our first responsibility should be is our state dollars ought to take care of our state problems that we have, whether it's roads, whether it's universities, and those kind of things. We do want to be partners with local government. We do want to be partners. Probably one of the better partnerships I've seen in a long time was during this last session when we were having some budget crisis. We were going to shut down the swimming pools at all the state parks. Farmville stepped up and said, we will, that park means everything to Farmville. It means a lot to our visitors that come in, and we would like to do whatever we can to make sure that we keep that swimming pool open. So they raised $25,000 so that they could make sure that the swimming pool stayed open. When we did the budget, we brought that, made sure that as of July 1st in the new fiscal year that we would make sure that we gave them that part of their money back, and then we found out that we did a little bit better, so we gave them the whole amount better. And that's the kind of relationship I think that we ought to have with local government and state government and all of us working together. I think people are tired of us one project here and one project there and not working together. It is all of our tax dollars, and I think if we work together, we can get so much more out of our tax dollars than if we just say, well, this is my town and that's what I want to do. And I think we'd be so much better off if we can start working together and saying, hey, this is what's good for our whole community. And I think that would be very helpful on that. Most of our area in northeast Louisiana, we're still an ag area. Ag has seen some very good years. We'll wait to see how this drought of 2015 will affect us, but hopefully it won't do much, except I think the wheat crop is going to be just about non-existent. Most of our other ag guys are into irrigation already, so they're probably more damned if they have rain than they are if there's a drought, so it still should be some pretty good. In Morehouse Parish, which has seen the international paper, they closed down about 7 years ago now. As of June the 30th, and they ended their fiscal year, they have collected the highest sales tax in the history of Morehouse Parish. And with Drax coming on board earlier this year, and that's a $150 million project, you'll have about 100 loads of timber a day going into Drax, and that does those wood pellets, and that is for Europe, and we'll go across the pond, as they say. They'll make them in Bastrop. They'll send them by rail down to Baton Rouge. They'll get on into the port there, put them on a ship, and send them to the Commonwealth of Great Britain, and they'll use that for energy in Europe. So those are the kind of things that we've got. Of course, we did the foster farms up in and that wasn't just chicken feed. And just so that you'll know, Foster Farms spends $50 million a year on just chicken feed alone. So that's a big operation up there. That's about most of the stuff that's going on. I'll stop real quick and see if, yeah, Dave.
Well, you can talk all day and take a few minutes and do a 707 for us.
Well, you know, I will tell you that we've got, you know, there's just no doubt that this country is just in a different place than we've ever been. I'm not sure. I did a meeting yesterday. Of course, I went to a couple of the prayer meetings yesterday for our policemen. But you know, it's just, I mean, I'm not sure I've seen our country just sort of where we have we just lost our way. I mean, we've just, and I think that's the sort of the sad part about where we're at. I mean, if they will shoot a policeman, what are they going to do to us? I mean, you know, I mean, the state trooper down, real quickly, the state trooper down in Lake Charles, he didn't know who was, all he saw was the truck in the, off the road in a ditch. He goes up there to try to help him, and the guy has a shot-off shotgun and shoots him in the face, and then he's left his family behind. We just enter a different place than ever before. And I went to the church over in Homer over the weekend, and I appreciated that preacher. I mean, he just said, look, we need to ride back with our kids. We got to give them some discipline. And then, you know, he says, and he's right, he just said, wasn't bashful. He said, just because the Supreme Court says something's legal doesn't mean it's right. And I'm going, amen. I mean, I'm not. But look, do we hear that at our churches much anymore? We just, you know, they've got us buffalo that says we can't talk anymore about the ills of the, and we're all, as conservatives, we're all on this defense that well, you know, maybe we shouldn't be, maybe we ought to love everybody, and we just sort of lost our way. And I think that's what we're seeing with Donald Trump. He just, you know, I think he's getting a niche here that says, look, I mean, he's not politically correct, doesn't have to be politically correct. You know, and I think that a lot of people have sort of said, maybe it is, you know, I sort of like that thing. We ought to close the border, and you know, my goodness, we got 20 million illegal immigrants here, and that first word is a major thing, and it's illegal. So you can come over here legally, and that's where you ought to be. But I think we just are in a different place in time with our country, and we just see if we can turn this thing around. But I do think that part of this is from the leadership that we get from a White House that says you can burn the 5 blocks here. And if you burn that 5 blocks, what says if I can burn that 5, why can't I burn the next 5 over? And when you give that message out, I think it just is a terrible message. I saw Rudy Giuliani the other day on TV. He said, I was the mayor of the largest town in America. He said, do you have the right to protest? Absolutely you do. But when you throw the first rock, you're in jail. And he said, you just can't let them. When they break the law, they go to jail. And he said, that's the only way. He says, you outnumber us, you know, 10,000 to 1. And he said, you can't, you know, so I think we've sort of, we as parents need to start reminding them that they're not cops, that they're policemen, that we need to make sure that, and that when our teachers say that our kid has done wrong, it'll be like my dad. He never asked me my opinion, or why did I do something. He said, you got in trouble at school, you know what that means, go get the paddle. So I'd get the paddle. But we've sort of lost our way, and hopefully we've done that. We as a state need to, I think we are still the most pro-life state in the United States for the 4th year. I think we've got some good policies. I think we're in a good direction. We've just got to figure out our money side and see what we want to do with our dollars. What should we do with our taxes? What should we do? What should we do with, and You know, I think we're all probably a little disappointed that the last 2 years of our governor has not been very good, but I will tell you, every governor struggles in their second term, and while I'm thinking about